After 32 years, our neurodiverse marriage felt like chaos. God is a chaos coordinator. He knows how to gather the scatter of chaos and order it. His very presence hovers over chaos, as we read in Genesis 1:2, the time after Satan's fall from heaven and the earth was in chaos. It says the earth was formless. This is the Hebrew word tohu. It means confusion, unreality, emptiness, formlessness, nothingness, waste, worthless, a place of chaos. So I know God was hovering over our chaos with me, but until I learned how to really experience His voice and receive reciprocity directly from Him, I felt like I was drowning in the chaos water. Hello, and welcome to Cassandra Uncaged. I'm Libby Clark, and if you found me, then we found each other. Are you tired of feeling all alone in your neurodiverse marriage and no one believing or understanding what you're going through? Do you feel like you've lost yourself? Is your heart sick from deferred hope? Would you like a personal shepherdess to guide you out of the valleys of neurodiversity into life-giving green pastures to help you become the best version of yourself while you're in a season of waiting for circumstances to change? Come join the safe community of Cassandra Uncaged. Let's open the curtains and get you out of that corner. Grab a journal and pen, release and have peace. A new joy-filled chapter is just around the corner. Hey friends, the reason I'm taking time to talk about learning to hear God's voice is because it saved me. I went from invisible girl to wonder girl, the girl who wondered and saw signs and wonders revealing God and who He said I was. It saved my marriage, and it saved my husband Steve. He actually learned how to do it. Next week, you will hear from Steve himself, and you won't want to miss that. In marriage, why is reciprocity, the natural, organic flow of appropriate emotional response, so important? Just as an infant needs to be held and soothed to experience that they are known, seen, and heard, a wife needs to know that her husband can return appropriate emotional responses so she feels known, seen, and heard. But that doesn't happen with a mind-blind husband. After years of neurodiverse marriage, we can lose ourselves. We begin to feel invisible and insignificant. In 2017, I learned how to be seen and heard by God. I'm talking about reciprocity with God Himself. Two-way conversation with God, hearing His voice. It's so life-giving, and you can have this. So today we will learn key number 4, the importance and benefits of writing down what you hear from God. I'm so glad I have all of my journals and that I wrote it all down. Sometimes I go back and reread them, and because they are so anointed with God's voice, they are life-giving all over again. I want to tell you a story about how journaling has changed my relationship with God. I realize now that before 2017, I knew a fair amount about God, but I did not know God intimately. And remember, intimacy means into me, see. I was depending on my husband to intimately know me, and that was not working. Learning how to hear God's voice has enabled me to have God centered within me rather than walking alongside Him. I am developing a practice of saying, another lives within me. This is real. This is not just theory. This is not just teaching. This is testimony. I want this to be replicated in you, and you can be free as well. The Hebrew meaning of the word testimony is do it again, multiply it. I want you to experience reciprocity from God. After 32 years, our neurodiverse marriage felt like chaos. God is a chaos coordinator. He knows how to gather the scatter of chaos and order it. His very presence hovers over chaos, as we read in Genesis 1:2, the time after Satan's fall from heaven and the earth was in chaos. It says the earth was formless. This is the Hebrew word tohu. It means confusion, unreality, emptiness, formlessness, nothingness, waste, worthless, a place of chaos. So I know God was hovering over our chaos with me, but until I learned how to really experience his voice and receive reciprocity directly from him, I felt like I was drowning in the chaos water. I shared last week that my husband was noticing a change in me as I was secretly going through the course from Mark Virkler on how to hear God's voice. Again, I have Mark Virkler's information in the show notes. What does it take to wake up a mind-blind husband who has his own big L on his forehead and has never been able to really hear my heart? After years of me trying to get his attention, years of what I called the purple marriage folder, which contained hours and hours of notes that I would write out to share with him whenever we would get alone, but it never ultimately worked. So what finally worked? In 2017, I began secretly and covertly receiving reciprocity from the face of Jesus himself and from the words Jesus spoke to me using these 4 keys. I was changing, and it was effortlessly evident to my husband. I didn't have to work at it. It just happened. So let me read something that Jesus spoke to me during that time, and I'll explain a little more about the name Beth that God gave me in a moment. But here we go. Beth, the more you walk in the truth of how I see you, the more beautiful you become. Your face becomes a reflection of the way I carry royalty, joy, confidence, peace. You experientially know that you are perfectly loved. Isn't that beautiful? And here is the story of God calling me Beth. Now, this name was given to me in a time of journaling as well. And by the way, God will give you nicknames. So one day I was in the flowing river within me, and I tuned in and I heard God singing to me. He was singing the song Beth from the rock band Kiss. Anybody remember them from the 80s? If you're old enough to remember that. I had a brother who listened to Kiss, and this song was the only one I liked. It was written by one of the band members, and it was a song to his wife. It was a sad song because he had to tell her why he could never be home, because he was always on the road performing. The lyrics go like this. Beth, I hear you calling, but I can't come home right now. Me and the boys will be playing all night. Well, let me tell you how my spiritual ears heard Jesus's beautiful voice sing that song back to me using the exact same melody, but with the following lyrics. Beth, I hear you calling, and I am always here. I will never leave you, and I am always near. Ooh, I was wrecked in a beautiful way. My full name is Elizabeth, and it was never shortened to Beth, but God called me Beth and gave me this song. And I hope my story stirs you up to have faith to believe for great things in your journey. To review, let's read the verses that Mark Virkler received all of this great revelation from in Habakkuk 2, verses 1 and 2. Here we go. I will climb up to my watchtower and stand at my guard post. There I will wait to see what the Lord says and how he will answer my complaint. Then the Lord said to me, write my answer plainly on tablets so that a runner can carry the correct message to others. In those two verses, we hear the four principles or keys that Habakkuk lays out. They are stillness, vision, flow, and journaling. So we've covered keys 1, 2, and 3, which is stillness, vision, and flow. And today we'll move on to key number 4, which is journaling, recording the flowing thoughts and flowing pictures. So last week, I talked about a river flowing within us. This is the flow of the frequency of heaven. And when we use pictures in our divine imagination, we tune into this frequency. We are still. We are using pictures. We are hearing bubbling thoughts from the river that flows. And then we take those thoughts captive and write them down. So why is it important to write them down? In Habakkuk 2, verse 2, God tells Habakkuk to record the vision. There are many examples throughout the Bible of individuals' prayers and God's reply to them. Like you'll find these examples in Psalms and many of the prophets and in Revelations. This is two-way journaling. So Mark Virkler has been so helpful in explaining how this is just great for tuning to spontaneous flow and just writing in faith, just letting it go, write for long periods, and just simply believe it is God, because later we can test it to discern, was this from God? When we're testing, we can come into doubt, which will block divine communication. So I don't want to be testing it while I'm trying to receive. So while journaling, I can receive in faith. You know, Hebrews 11:6 says, and without faith, it's impossible to please God. So we get to have faith and stay in flow for an extended period of time and just have an extended two-way dialogue with Jesus. Afterward, we can make sure it lines up with Scripture. You know, 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says, test them all and hold on to what is good. Now, remember, Satan's tactic is to first cast doubt. In the garden, he told Eve, did God really say? Satan's main goal was to paint God as a stingy God who holds out on goodness for his children. Okay, let's review some tips. We know that journaling should be a relaxed, happy time. We set up your place of stillness, your watchtower. It should be a comfortable place. Now let's talk about selecting a journal. I realize that some of you may find an electronic device to be your choice of what to record your two-way conversation with Jesus in, and I get it. But I do want to put in a plug for an actual paper journal and a pen. There's something unique that happens when we write in this way. There's studies showing the cognitive benefits of writing with pen and paper over typing for our learning, memory, and understanding the concepts. For instance, children love to learn using kinetic sensory tools, things they can see, hear, feel, touch, or smell. And Jesus tells us to come to him in childlike faith. So go for it. You could even get yourself one of those really fat pens with multiple colors of ink that you can, click down to use. Color connects us with an emotion. Now, about selecting a journal. You can use anything you feel comfortable with, but I suggest that you start with a brand new one, especially if this is a very brand new process for you. If you have never journaled in this way before, start out fresh. This is so important and it will be life-changing. So I found that I personally really like a mini 3-ring binder. Here's why. It lays open flat. It is like really annoying when I want to just be still before the Lord and tune to flow, think and write, and I have to keep pressing open the journal. I'll put the links in the description for what I use. Another benefit is that it has a front pocket that is clear and you can put a fun image in it. So I did some art of myself looking like a warrior woman to remind myself every time I get my journal to open it up that this is how God sees me. I'm now using my voice like a warrior woman, where once my voice was shut down and insignificant. Now, you have to keep buying the loose leaf 3-ring mini paper size, but it's worth it to me. This is my preference. You can use whatever works for you. And a reminder to always write down the date when you journal. One day when you reread them, that will be important. And I also put a label on the front of my journal of the start and end date. If you have the clear pocket on the cover, you can be thinking about what image you would like to put in that. Do some simple art, whatever you want. Custom design it. You can change it as often as you like. And here's another tip. I have put a picture of me as an 8-year-old in the front inside cover of my journal to remind me to approach Jesus with childlike faith. So now you get into your comfortable watchtower, and as you take your journal and pen, smile and say, "Good morning, Jesus." Breathe, relax, and become childlike. I'll give you a suggestion for a 2-way conversation. Let's set up the scene. Go into a vision with Jesus where you feel happy and safe, because you'll be asking him earnest questions with childlike faith, believing that he loves you immensely and he has your back, and he would never harm you with a lie. See yourself as an 8-year-old on a walk with Jesus, on a beautiful path, in a park with trees, along a beautiful lake. He is holding your hand and you feel so safe. Ask him this question: Jesus, how can I trust your plan for me even when things seem so uncertain? Just trust him and listen. Wait and hop on the flow of the river within you. Begin to write the bubbling thoughts as you stay in the scene. Friends, I'd like to share what I heard from Jesus as I asked him this question. Here it is. Beth, keep your eyes fixed on me. When you look to the left or the right, you'll see many distracting sights and hear many distracting voices of deceit. Find time to feed your soul by looking at me. I will never leave you or forsake you. I have your best interest in mind. I restore your soul and lead you to green pastures. Rest, my love. Friends, I hope you hear some beautiful things from Jesus, and I would love for you to share them. You can now join the free Cassandra Uncaged community called Friends Uncaged. Find the link in the show notes below, and also check out a link where you could record a brief voice memo of a question you have or a topic you'd like discussed, or what you heard from Jesus in your journaling. And don't miss next week. You will hear from my husband, Steve, his journey of learning to hear God's voice. You will be so encouraged. Until then, I bless your journey of journaling. Remember, hope is on the way. Hey friends, until next time, have a great week and check out CassandraUncaged.com to find community, resources, and a free consultation to see how I may be able to help you. Here's Steve.
We're praying for you and trusting that our breakthrough will make a way for your breakthrough. Please share this podcast, subscribe, and leave Libby a review. Join Cassandra Uncaged and become a member of the army that will change the face of neurodiversity.